we will take off again. Thank you all for joining us for this webinar today, taking time out of your day to tune in with us. We appreciate that. My name is Caleb Talley. I'm the Director of Marketing and Events at Startup Junkie. For those of you who may not be familiar with Startup Junkie and what we do, we're a mission-driven organization based in Northwest Arkansas. Our office is here on the Fayetteville Square where I'm sitting right now. And we exist to serve innovators and entrepreneurs. And we do that mainly through two facets. One is through one-on-one consulting. So whether you have an idea written on the back of a napkin or a full-blown small business that's been operating for a while, we exist to serve you through consulting, connect you to resources. I tell people we operate kind of like a switchboard. Sometimes we might not be able to help you with exactly what you've got going on, but we're going to connect you with somebody that can help you. And then the other facet of what we do is events, workshops, webinars, just like this one. So we appreciate you again for being here. I'm excited to introduce you to Ryan Brooks of Fayetteville. He's the founder of the media company Real with Ryan and Positive Pup Dog Training. And aside from working his full-time job in sales at Field Agent, he has focused on content strategies to develop a personal brand with a YouTube channel, podcast, Instagram, LinkedIn, and now has over 100,000 or 80,000 followers on TikTok. Excuse me, I can't read. And so without further ado, I will turn it over to Ryan, who will begin our presentation today.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Caleb. Thanks, Startup Junkie and everyone for both hosting this and then joining along and listening in, taking part of your lunch time to listen. So we'll kind of jump things off. I know there's going to be people trickling in over the course of the time. Caleb, quick question. Do you know if there's a way I can mute those pings as people come in the room?
I don't know. If you can, as a co-host, yeah.
Okay, no worries.
If there's a way, I haven't found it yet.
No worries, or no worries if not. It will help keep me on beat. So while people are coming in, before I jump into the presentation, I hope it's going to be a good one that not only you'll enjoy, but learn a lot about. So a few quick questions. If you are listening, feel free to type some answers in the chat. But again, open up with some questions before jumping into things while people are coming in. So quick, if you know the answer in the chat, feel free to say it. How many people would you guess are on social media across all social medias? Feel free to type in a guess or answer there. Okay, Morgan with billions, Teddy 3 billion, 3 million from Miranda, Caleb has 3 billion, 6 billion, Bonnie. All right, so it looks like there's a whole bunch of guesses that are in the billions, and that is right. So as of right now, there's about 4.5 billion people on social media. So over the half of this planet is part of social media. That includes Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, you name it. So more than half the world, which is just a crazy statistic. Okay, so kind of the next stat while people are joining the room. So globally on average, people spend 2.5 hours on social media every single day. So if someone were to sign up at the age of 16 and live to 70 years old with that average, can anyone guess how many days they would spend of their life on social media? Give just a moment for people to guess the days or times people had spent on social media in their life. This is a hard one, admittedly. 45,000 from Bonnie, a big number. Love the guess though. Thanks for taking a shot. This is really hard. 2 years, smiley face, 15 years, 5,000. So the answer in days is about 18,000 days or 5.7 years. Maybe that's wrong, 1,800 days. Anyways, 5.7 years of someone's life could be spent on social media from the age of 16 to 70 at the current social media usage rate. So social media is literally part of our lives now, whether you like it or not. Some people use it more, some people use it less, but that is just crazy. Last question before opening up the presentation. Do you, as people listening to this, do you currently have or are using TikTok? Just let me know in a comment, are you a TikTok user? And that would be yes for me. Yep, no, yep, no. Great. So it looks like everyone has a good mix of yeses and nos, lots of not yets. Excellent. So that should be no problem for those of you who are using TikTok, you'll probably know a few details more than the people who don't. But if you haven't used TikTok, then you're in a good spot to learn about it today. So I'm going to go ahead. It looks like we have a handful of people here. I'm going to pull up my the presentation and go ahead and jump right into it. So yeah, thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Startup Junkie, for hosting this. This is going to be all about marketing on TikTok. We're going to review a lot of different things and give you some tangible facts, some tangible information to help you think about TikTok and how to use it. I'm going to open up with a few TikTok mythbusters. This will especially be relevant for those who haven't downloaded it yet. But the first myth is that TikTok is only a music and dancing app. And you can take a guess, but you might understand at this point that it is false. So TikTok did start as a company called Musical.ly, or an app called Musical.ly, hosted by the Chinese company ByteDance. But it since transitioned into what we know as TikTok today, and it has tons of different niches. Some of the biggest niches on TikTok are actually real estate, health and fitness, home and cooking, DIY, business and entrepreneurship. So not just a music and dancing app, even though it's kind of what it started out as. So the second myth is that TikTok is a fad. I've heard this, that TikTok is just something that's here today, will be gone tomorrow. And I think the answer to this would be false. So we have some data in a minute I'll show you that kind of support this. But if you just look at the user retention data for TikTok, it's about higher than any other social media. So we have on this graph TikTok compared to Snapchat, averaging higher user retention. And this little dotted blue bar is the average user retention for social medias. So it's getting people to download it, and then it's keeping people engaged with it. So high user retention, I don't think it's a fad. The last TikTok myth in this Mythbusters series is that you can't sell products on TikTok. And once again, maybe I don't know how Mythbusters works, but that is also false. Now, the route, the funnel, and the pipeline for sales on TikTok is going to be a little bit different than some of the standard social medias. But through partnerships like TikTok Shopify and other sales funnels, you definitely can sell products here on TikTok. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to learn today, what you'll be able to take away from this presentation. First is the importance of social media marketing with an emphasis on TikTok. You're going to learn why it's important, why you should be using it, or at least how you should be thinking about it. You're going to be learning especially about what makes TikTok tick. So the ins and outs of TikTok, the content on TikTok, how to leverage the algorithm to your benefit, and how to just think about TikTok as a media. You're going to be learning about which brands and businesses can use TikTok and create strategies to succeed, whether you're a local business, a national business, whether you're a product or service. You'll be learning about how you can utilize that TikTok strategy. And finally, we'll be learning how to leverage TikTok to drive sales. So if you're a product, you're a business, we don't want just awareness, which is great, but we actually want to see that increase to our revenue. And last but not least, we're going to actually learn how to create the strategy and get started today. Not just a bunch of facts thrown at you and reasons why you should do something, but actually an action plan. So you can come away from this webinar with a plan of attack to how you're going to get started utilizing TikTok. So I'm going to jump into who I am and why am I the one teaching you this? Well, my name is Ryan Brooks. And first and foremost, I am a TikTok creator. And so my account is over here on the right-hand side. I have about 85,000 followers and 2.7 million likes on TikTok, which puts me at, the upper middle range for TikTok creators. There's definitely people that have millions of followers. I'm not one of them, but through the combination of understanding TikTok, running a little ad business on the side, and a few other entrepreneurial ventures, I think there's a few perspectives that I can bring and help teach you, and at least bring you up to speed on how to utilize TikTok. The primary content focus that I do is dog training, and a little shout out to Startup Junkie. They helped advise me and start my local dog training business here in Northwest Arkansas. And over the pandemic, I transitioned from training people in person sessions to training on TikTok. So a big shift and a pivot of my business to that online site. I have a podcast, a YouTube channel, and I also do a ton of other things. Realwithryan.com connects all of my media, so you can check that out if you want to learn more. And I also work full-time at sales at a company called Field Agent. So that's a little bit about me and kind of why I'm teaching about TikTok today. But let's go ahead and hop into the meat of things now. I think most people are here. Let's talk a little bit, a high-level overview of the importance of social media marketing. So the biggest reason social media marketing is important is relatively obvious for most people, but it is to build awareness. And as this chart shows, according to the panel from Sprout Social, with a few thousand people, around 55% of consumers were learning about their brands or their companies through social media. Now, this does skew larger towards younger audiences like Gen Z, and a little bit smaller percentages of baby boomers or Gen X plus. But a little over half of people are learning about new brands from social media. So a huge way to build brand awareness and educate people about what your business is, who your product or, who your business is or what your product or service does. So social media is also a great way to build trust with engagement. Being able to interact with your customers in a real and authentic way, and building a line of communication will help build a relationship with your customers. That engagement will build trust with your brand, your product and service over time. This interaction also lets you gain feedback. So you have more feedback loops and feedback mechanisms, so you can understand how people are thinking of your product and be able to pivot or adjust your pivot or adjust your product to what the marketplace is wanting. And social media also lets us drive sales and drive users. So, the awareness, the trust, the feedback isn't, great without being able to actually see revenue generated from that. And TikTok and social media is another pipeline, another funnel to help drive users and customers to your products. So let's talk a little bit about TikTok specifically. That was an overview of social media, why it is important, but TikTok is going to be the main focus of this presentation today. So what is TikTok generally speaking? TikTok is a social media platform that is allowing creators to share short form videos. So mostly the video length is between 15 and 60 seconds. They recently allow 3-minute videos, but all of the content on TikTok is strictly videos, and TikTok gives creators and people the tools to create those videos on them. And then utilizing its algorithm, it helps boost videos out so that everyone has a chance of going viral. So a big draw for users there. A few fun facts is TikTok is the fastest growing social media of all time. It grew faster than WeChat, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. This chart down here shows its logarithmic growth, and it actually reached 1 billion users recently. The users of TikTok love raw and authentic content, and I'll be sure to talk about that because it's going to be a big theme in today's presentation. With the number of users, brands are seeing absurd levels of growth within TikTok and awareness, and the ability to drive sales and users to their products by utilizing TikTok effectively. A little, shout out to this graph over here as well, is users are spending tons of time on TikTok, and you can kind of see that compared to these other social media such as Facebook, Instagram, the average time users have spent on TikTok is, above all of those. So lots of people are downloading this app and lots of people are using it frequently. All right. So let's continue on with our overview of TikTok. But let me move y'all out of the way, seeing picture. So overview of TikTok. So the first thing I'll touch on is TikTok culture. So as opposed to some other social medias, TikTok has a very vibrant culture, and that's part of the appeal of TikTok. It's very personal, it's authentic, and at times even slapstick. So content that is personable, showing people what people are doing, how you might live your life, and it is going to be, something that's going to be more popular than maybe big production videos or brand messaging and things like that. And of course, slapstick and anything comedic or hilarious is also going to be popular on TikTok. If you're a user, you've probably seen this already. Another really important thing to call out about TikTok, it is a meritocracy for content. So if you create a TikTok account today and you post a video, your video has just the same amount of going viral and getting seen by millions of people as mine does at 85,000 followers. And that's something that really changes from most social medias to TikTok, is that it truly is a meritocracy for content, and it gives everyone the ability to create a video that can put them in the spotlight. And so that's a huge draw for users, but it also means that brands can get up and running quickly if they create good content as well. Like you've probably known, it's a predominantly younger audience on TikTok, but more people from Gen X and boomers and plus are coming onto the app. It was seen kind of the younger generations were the early adopters, but older generations are now coming aboard pretty quickly. Last but not least, TikTok's still growing and changing. It's in a rapid growth state still, still probably the early majority stage of TikTok's platform growth. And it means there's lots of changes to the platform. It's ever evolving. So what I'm going to give you today is where it's at pretty much right now, but just be aware that it can change at any time. And then trends are a huge part of TikTok. They act like waves of attention. And trends are part of the platform, part of the culture. In some other social medias, it is, seen as a bad thing to kind of take other people's content, repurpose other people's content. People would think of that as a copyright. But on TikTok, the act of taking other people's sounds, taking other people's videos, taking other people's challenges and hashtags is something that's celebrated. And it creates these trends that act like a wave of attention. So I actually have a video, an example here, and throughout this presentation, we'll have examples of TikToks that will illustrate kind of what I'm talking about, so you can see an example here. So the trend I'm about to show you is called the I'm obsessed trend, and it's a trend where people utilize a sound that you'll hear in a second and show something they're obsessed with. So let's just take a look at this one.
People think I'm obsessed with it, but I'm okay with it. I am obsessed with it, and I think this is an obsession that doesn't hurt anyone. People think I'm obsessed with it, but I'm okay.
Okay, so that is it. That's an example that, content can be anything. And that was a trend of someone being obsessed with, this case, making cappuccinos or cappuccino art. So tons of content can succeed. And these trends are really driving lots of engagement, and your brands and your content can utilize that. So now let me talk a little bit about what makes TikToks tick behind the scenes, and that is the algorithm. Lots of the times when it comes to social media, we hear about the algorithm, but we really don't know what it means. And basically the algorithm on TikTok is what denotes content as successful and pushes it out to larger audiences. So I've already mentioned that TikTok's algorithm is a meritocracy. So every video has an equal chance of being seen and being pushed out and going viral. The leading KPI for TikTok's algorithm is watch time. And so as those user retention graphs kind of showed, what TikTok wants to be doing is increasing the time people are spent on the app. That means they'll get to showcase more ads. They'll have more users spending more time and retaining more users. So anytime they can keep people on the app and watching videos for longer, they're going to push that content because it means it's more engaging. So watch time, the amount of seconds people are watching a video, is the lead indicator for what makes a video successful. The second indicator is just a take on watch time, and that's watch time versus the length of the video. So since there are videos that are short form, let's say 5 to 15 seconds, if someone or users are watching that video over and over again, let's say they watch a 5-second video 5 times, TikTok will ping that as something that is really popular and is keeping users engaged on that same video. And so lots of strategies for content is to create a video that people will watch through, or create something people might want to watch back a second time in case they might have missed something. The way the algorithm also works is for its meritocracy, it uses random samples of followers and users to test out content. So if you make a video, it's going to take a random sample of your followers and then a random sample of random users, people who don't follow you, and it's going to show them the video that you make. If people are watching this video, if they're liking the video, commenting, sharing, then it's going to increase the pool in which people are showing you. So it might show 200 people your video at first. If only 10 out of those 200 people like the video, TikTok's going to determine that it might not be a great video that it's going to push out. If it determines, or if it samples 200 people, and maybe 150 out of the 200 of the people are liking the video, maybe 4 or 5 people comment on it, 1 person shares that video, it's going to increase the pool of people that it's going to show the content to. So it might go to 500 people that are sampling, then it might go to 1,000 people, then 5,000, then 15,000, 50,000, and so on. And at some point, that pool of people that are engaging with that video will hit a scale and diminishing returns, where there's so many people of that pool that are no longer engaging with it that will kind of stop that video. And that's how every video has a shot of going viral. And if it's being liked, watched, commented on, or shared, it can get large due to the nature of the sampling. Another thing that helps this sampling and the spread of videos is utilizing and defining niches. And so if you're a user here, you'll quickly understand that if you start to like videos about, let's just say, American football or the NFL, it will start to understand that you are someone that they can show football videos to. And not just that, you are liking football, but that there's groups of people who are like you who are watching football. So all of a sudden, someone makes a football piece of content. They see a group of users that are liking football, are swiping up, they're liking that content. It will start to define groups and say, hey, we're going to show this video to all the people that like football. So it uses that. But there really is an engagement hierarchy to the algorithm. And the first step, or the first level of the hierarchy, is watch time. Then it's followed by shares, then comments, then likes, then views. And that's kind of the way it works. And this also means that TikTok is really hard to game, or it's really hard to purchase views or purchase likes, because watch time is that leading indicator. And it's really difficult to actually manufacture watch time like people can manufacture out likes on something like Instagram. But now let's pivot a little bit. Let me take a drink real fast. Okay, let's talk a little bit about TikTok for business. There's a few ways to think about it. The first thing I'll call out is that the long-term vision for TikTok in business is kind of yet to be determined. It is a growing platform. How businesses are going to use that and create their strategies, there's a ton of different strategies out there. And we're not really sure how it's all going to shake out. But there is definitely a place for TikTok in business to cross. But there are kind of 3 main routes that you can choose right now. The first route is to create an account and create content. So your brand, your business can become someone that generates content. And that is how you're driving engagement and driving sales to your brand. The second route is to collaborate with and hire influencers who can create content for you. So finding people, finding creators that are already established in your product niche, hiring them or sponsoring them to create content on behalf of your product or brand is the second option. And the third option that is relatively new is to utilize TikTok ads to advertise. And this is something that most people are familiar with when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google ads. But it's a newer space here on TikTok. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But those are kind of the three routes you can take. So let's talk a bit more about content that's going to succeed. So we saw some of those tips on the algorithm, but let's talk about content that will actually play off of that algorithm and generate content that has the chance of being seen by lots of people. So like I said, and it's going to be a common theme throughout this presentation, is that authentic content will, prevail. People can sniff out brand messaging or see these high production value videos. And for some reason on TikTok, those just don't tend to be as popular. People like behind the scenes type content, people talking to a camera, sharing their story. And it's kind of an interesting take on the social media that we're kind of used to from other platforms. Along those lines, people love stories. So anything that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, a full story, think of it as the hero's journey, if you will, is something that people, if you can grab someone's attention at the beginning of a video with a beginning or what you're going to tell them, tell the story and tell the end. It's just a really satisfying journey that typically gets lots of views. And I actually have an example of a story.
Hi,
in a sense.
I'm a 43-year-old production and creative services executive at a Fortune 100 company, and this is basically what my days look like. This happens to be from last Friday, but they all basically follow the same pattern. I happily get my ass up at 7 days a week, do a little work, go for a long walk, and then work out. Come home, spin around my kitchen, then all of a sudden I'm ready to go to work. I usually go suit and tie, but it was Friday, so I'm a little casual. I try to make the most of my commute time from Brooklyn into Midtown Manhattan, and then basically I'm in meetings all day. I really only have one rule of thumb for meetings. If it's going to be helpful and productive, I'll happily put it in my calendar. And I met a couple of kids from Europe who are looking to have me speak at their career day. Speaking of which, I like to give out tasty work tips every once in a while. Here's one. Whenever your wife and daughter are near the office and they want to come by, the answer is hell yeah. And help me wrap up, then we headed over to grab some takeout sushi. Curry on 46 is crack, FYI. Oh,
I was like, oh my
Did
god.
I say 12? I don't know.
No, it was.
Shoot, we gonna wait on her.
It was there.
I thought the tag was better to leave on. Back to the sushi. Seriously, Curry on 46.
All right. So that was an example of day in the life. And just a quick, can someone let me know, can y'all hear that audio well whenever I play the videos? If someone just gives me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat, that would be great. Awesome. Thank you, Teddy. Appreciate that. So that was just someone who, is running a business in New York, telling a story of their life. This is what I do when I get up. This is how I go to work. This is what I do. That's great. And, I saw your questions in the chat. Dawn, I'm going to get back to that question about specific things there at the end. Just letting you know that I've seen that. Also, the best editing platforms for TikTok. Emily, I've got later in this presentation, we'll talk about tools. So we'll get to those questions. Just want to let you know that I did see them. So thank you for asking. So, that's an example of storytelling, whether that's a day in the life, telling a story about how your business got started or how you designed a product. Stories go a long way. The next thing is challenges and trends. So we mentioned that with the coffee video earlier. Challenges using hashtags or trends, they're acting like waves of attention. You never really know what the next challenge or trend is going to be about. But whenever you're able to see those and you have something you can contribute to those, it's kind of like free content for you. Being able to just replicate and do what other people are doing is a great way to stay on top of things and have content. The next thing is education and adding value. So Dawn, this might be a little bit important for you is, luckily for TikTok is if you have something to teach, go ahead and teach that. People love to learn and it does have to be made in an engaging way. And I'll show you an example. But education and adding value to people's lives is something that is popular on TikTok. And I'll show you that. But also create content that prompts user engagement. So that's the type of thing where, you actually ask people or propose a question to people in the comments. And I've actually seen videos of people who make a video and completely unrelated, they'll say, hey, in the comment below, let us know your favorite topping for a bagel. And then all of a sudden the comment section is filled with people discussing their bagel toppings, and that's starting to boost the video. But let's check out, an example of educating people through a TikTok video.
Yo, this is how you make the perfect rice. I know a lot of y'all don't got a rice cooker, so I'm gonna show you how to make it in a pot. First, we gonna measure out 2 cups of rice. Another one, rinse your rice. Clean that showing up. Where these showing up? We gonna do that 3 times. Boom, boom, pop. One more time, baby. All right, tip number 1, soak your rice for 30 minutes. This is the soaked rice, and this is before it got soaked. You see the difference? Tip number 2, rice to water ratio. Option number 1, bring it to your knuckles. That's that Korean mama style. Option number 2, you see that line right there? Bring it to half of that. What? If you don't trust the Asian way, just measure it out to the cup.
All right. So, that's an example of, the type of teaching you can do. And so whether you're teaching people how to cook rice, how to start a business, you can do that. And utilizing those fast cuts is something that can help. So if you have something to teach it. People will love that. All right. Let me talk a little bit about how businesses can leverage TikTok. And there's a few different ways that businesses can leverage TikTok, and both big and small businesses can do this. There's an example from a power washing company in, I believe, Michigan called Got Dat Pressure. And they are a local power washing company who started posting time lapses of them power washing, and their business blew up so much so they were booked out for months. They started raising the prices of their services. They started getting more clients. And for a small business, they actually even started making money through TikTok and ads like that. So it became an alternative revenue stream for them. And I'll just show you an example of them.
$200. This house is almost $1,800. So let's get started. So we remove the plants and prep for cleaning. The chemical I use is industrial strength bleach, or known as sodium hypochlorite. We're going to put that down on the concrete because it's nasty. Then we're going to come in, wash the house, spray it all down, rinse it off. Everyone's favorite part, the time lapse of the driveway. We do this after pre-treating the concrete itself and washing the house. We never show this, but we're actually cleaning the windows.
So, that's an example of how small businesses can even just take a video of themselves doing their work and using that as kind of a megaphone for what it is they're doing. And I'll have more on how small businesses can do this in a bit. But then on the other end of the spectrum, some of the largest brands in the world, like Elf Cosmetics, created this huge viral campaign called Eyes, Lips, Face that generated 7 billion views. And it had 5 million people creating videos for them. So not just creating videos that are getting views themselves, but encouraging their customers, their audience, to make content on their behalf. And just a quick insight to what this looks like.
TikTok challenge viewed organically onto Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and national television. The original music we created became so popular, we released it on Spotify and iTunes. Millions of streams later, we partnered with a top record label to release the official music video. So, how did we get here? Elf Cosmetics was looking to amplify its energetic and inclusive personality with an edgy brand campaign for Gen Z. They wanted to achieve a level of virality that no brand had ever done. So, they brought in movers and shakers to lead their groundbreaking launch into TikTok. The result was the most influential campaign on TikTok. L stands for Eyes, Lips, Face. So we developed a challenge to invite all of TikTok to share their eyes, lips, and face. We created an original Eyes, Lips, Face song that Gen Z would love.
Okay, so that's just a little glimpse. There's a full video that's a case study on what they did to succeed. But it's just kind of showing you that whether you're a small business wanting to leverage what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, or one of the biggest brands in an industry, you can utilize TikTok to kind of great effect. So we'll talk a bit about the types of businesses that can utilize it. And the first kind of filter I'll put on this is products versus services, and everyone in between. So the great thing is that both products and services, and Michelle, even, people that are promoting a film, can succeed on TikTok and gaining that traction, that visibility that they're wanting. One thing that I will say is that smaller costed items or smaller barriers to entry for a product or service are going to succeed a little bit better because TikTok is kind of impulsive in the nature of the app. And so anything that has a higher cost or a higher bar to entry is going to be a little bit more challenging to promote and sell on TikTok. But if you're trying to get someone to download your free app to watch a film or a video, for example, or even, buy a product that's, smaller in cost or impulsive, it's something that can be, really easy to do on TikTok. Once again, organic influencers and recommendations are the best. And we'll have an example of this, but having real customers just talking about your product without any sort of, incentive there is the type of content that really pushes, brands and products to the next level on TikTok. But utilizing influencers or people that are already established and have that trust built with the TikTok audience is another way to kind of leverage that for products or services. I will say the digital purchase funnel for having people buy your products is a little bit challenging on TikTok. Their ability to link services, link purchase links straight into videos isn't always the cleanest, but you usually can send people or direct people to a link to purchase within a bio. That still works, but it might not be as clean as perhaps Facebook or Instagram shopping feature on there. But one of the keys, or the two keys, I think, to selling on TikTok is really going to be utilizing target markets and niches, finding the groups of people that are really the most likely to find your product, and utilize trusted creators within that niche. Utilize people that have spent time on TikTok building up their own brand awareness, building up their own trust factor that whatever they say, their audience is going to believe and support. So just a bit about, the scope, the geographical scope of your business. So whether you're local, national, or international business, all three of these can succeed, but they have to kind of go about it in a little bit different way. National businesses are kind of the natural fit for how TikTok's algorithm work, but you can utilize local and international businesses. Local business and local content is currently being developed, and they're working on that right now. And so if you're on TikTok now, you will see people who are posting who are in your local region. Now, the problem from a local business perspective is lots of times you'll see a TikTok video and you won't even understand that they're a business in your area you can purchase from. And so this is where it's really important to use what I call local symbols or triggers that help people understand that this is a business or a product or a service that is in their area. And so, I'm in Northwest Arkansas, for example, and anyone here in Northwest Arkansas is going to recognize this Razorback down here, Woo Pig. But if you see a business, let's just say it's power washing or dog training, and you might just think it's a business video, but if you see that Razorback in the background, you'll quickly get a symbol that will trigger you and say, hey, this is actually a business that is in my area. This is someone who's in Northwest Arkansas likely. The same way with the St. Louis Arch. If you're a business that operates out of St. Louis locally, utilizing that arch or some sort of local symbol or local trigger will help people understand at a glimpse that you are a business that they can buy or shop from. So local businesses are tricky in the sense that you have to give people the cues that you are a business near them. National business is going to be kind of the natural fit, just because of the way the algorithm works, is that if you can sell your product or your service to anyone nationally, as your videos get popular, the first kind of geographical area people are going to see your video on is, the US. And so you'll be able to naturally reach most people in the US just due to the nature of the algorithm. So the national kind of business is kind of the best fit. But then, for international business, you can also make it work too. But for international businesses, it's a little bit trickier because the content that spreads and works really well in the United States might look completely different from the content that spreads and works really well in Mexico. And so to create international business TikToks, you really want to think about making content that is going to succeed in the culture or the country in which you're trying to reach. So for that reason, I don't have the best understanding of how to do that, but definitely just keep in mind, what is the culture, what is the country you're trying to reach, and what types of content might that culture and country really appreciate as compared to maybe the culture or the country of the US. So let's talk a little bit more about leveraging TikTok to drive sales. And one of the biggest viral videos that have driven sales over the last year was Ocean Spray. And this video that went completely viral from the creator 420 Dogface 208. What a name. But it is just him skateboarding down a highway on his way to work, drinking cranberry juice with Dreams by Fleetwood Mac in the background. This video got over 85 million views, 141,000 comments, 680,000 shares, 13 million likes. It boosted Dreams to the top 10 of the charts, and it caused a national cranberry juice shortage for a short period of time. The CEO of Ocean Spray came on and made videos to support this. Ocean Spray got on the bandwagon. They encouraged this whole trend of people drinking cranberry juice, and they were able to utilize just this organic video and push it to a national campaign that drove sales for Ocean Spray during the pandemic. So let's just take a quick look about this video. All right, so that is it. I bet he would have never thought that him posting that video of him drinking cranberry juice would cause a national cranberry juice shortage. But that's just the power of kind of the virality, the amount of people on TikTok, and how some of these organic moments can cause just a absurd amount of sales and a movement around a brand or a product. But let's talk a little bit, honed in a bit more on the content made by businesses that will succeed. And so this is how you can start thinking about what you want to be creating whenever you are creating content. So like I've mentioned, fun and personal content is going to beat brand messaging every day. As much as we really want to put our brand messaging stamp on the products and the services we're selling, the fun and personal content are the stories that are going to spread. So with that being said, things like behind the scenes, authentic workplace content is going to be fantastic for TikTok. And so showing who are the people of your company, what are the fun things you're doing behind the scenes, how is your product made? Let's see under the hood of what makes that product or service or your business tick. It's something we often don't get great sight lines into as consumers. Is really fascinating for people and customers, and gives people a better understanding of what your company is. Like I've also mentioned before, adding value. So teaching people is really important. And lots of you who are listening who are, owning, operating, working at a brand or a business, you have a lot of things to teach people, and people are willing to learn. So feel free to teach people everything that it is that you know. Another powerful strategy is targeting audience groups over time. So let's say you're a business and you want to teach people how to start a business. If you continue on that kind of strategy or that theme of teaching people about business, what it's going to do is it's going to start to accumulate a group of people who are interested in learning about business. And this is going to build an audience up for you and start to build you as a brand that's teaching people about business or whatever it is that you might be doing. So don't underestimate how important it can be to target a niche of people and just stay focused on building that as a group of people who are watching your videos. And then, we mentioned this content that's trusted by creators. If you're a business and you go out and you work with, collaborate with creators that are trusted, it can help you give a little bit of a boost to the content you're creating. So let's just see an example of, maybe a behind the scenes workplace content by another business creator out here.
Love to
this be a fair warning, kids. Do not get a 9-to-5 job. Do not get into corporate America. It will eat you alive. All the things are true. Just don't even think about it. Become an entrepreneur. Whatever else you got to do. Do not get into corporate America. Right? So I'm totally being facetious, and this is coming from a guy sitting in his hotel room by himself at 9:23 at night after just having spent an entire day in a freezing cold windowless conference room. And I actually almost cried. And this is all 1,000% true too. You can ask anybody that's in this video if you can find them, and they will corroborate the story, and they'll corroborate the general sense of it. But they'll also say that I'm being facetious with the best intentions and for good reason. We work our asses off and we stress out way more than we should, but we're getting better. Because if you can get to a place where you're surrounded by really good and really smart people, you can do amazing things. You can be super proud of what you're doing with your career. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me introduce you to key players from this evening meal. Leading off, please meet Lindsay. She was the first one cool enough to say, sure, I'll go first. When I said, hey, can everybody just stop for a second? Stand on that stump and just let me film you for like 5 seconds in a row. I promise I know what I'm doing. Lindsay worked her way up from a receptionist to now being one of the main architects for the process that gets 5,000 plus internal creative pieces through the queue every year.
Okay. So, that's an example of like the behind the scenes storytelling that you can tell as a brand of a business that, really is no frills. It's not highly produced, but something that, really resonates with people on TikTok. So now let's talk a little bit about how we can sell the products or services we have, or how to advertise without pushing people away. So we've mentioned how authentic stories or things are going to go a little bit farther than brand messaging. So in that vein, what we want to do if we sell our products or services is to don't sell, but to showcase, demonstrate why a product might be used, why it's something that, customers or consumers would want to use. And I have an example of how I do this with products or brands that I work with. I'll show you in a moment. But also, utilizing those custom or those trusted creators, people that have built a reputation of being a trusted, incredible source for the group of people they're talking to. Telling a story about your business or product, storytelling is huge. Being able to tell a story about how, your product might have saved someone's day, or maybe how your product got started, or what was the issue or the problem that caused you to start the service or product in the first place. And then last but not least, is creating a movement and encouraging other people, other customers to actually create content on your behalf. Chipotle does this really well. And what they do is they encourage people to, every time they create a Chipotle bowl or a Chipotle burrito, to go in and take a TikTok, a video of their perfect burrito and share that. And Chipotle encourages that. But that's what we saw through the Ocean Spray Cranberry movement as well, having people create and share content. But let me show you an example of how I have, I've worked with the brand, this harness company, and instead of selling the product, I showcased the product, and it went much more effective than if I were to just.
The harness to teach your dog to not pull on a leash. This is the no pull harness by Rabbit Go, and today we're going to use the front. Every good walk starts with a good sit. Ollie, sit. Good. So what the front loop does is whenever they get to the end of the leash, it pulls their chest back towards you. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk back and forth with your dog. When your dog gets out in front and starts to pull, turn around and walk the other way. What this will do is teach them when they're out in front and pulling, it pulls their chest aside and it's time to turn around. And this is teaching great heel behavior. And you can already see he's now getting the hang of it. He's learning to walk behind me. And if he starts to speed up, it pulls his chest back and it's time to turn the other way. This is excellent for teaching your dog good leash manners. You can find the link to this in my bio.
So that was an example of how you could showcase a product instead of selling it. Instead of saying, hey, this is an amazing harness, it's this much dollars, it has X, Y, and Z feature, showing, hey, this is, just so happens to be the product I'm using to, train a dog with. So showcasing and not selling. So everyone, Michelle asked about the music. So music is a big part of TikTok. When you're creating, TikTok has a library of music you can access while you're creating videos. And so all of this music is copyright free. So you can use that in any way, shape, or form. So Liz, thanks for coming in and helping answer that question there. Okay, so we're kind of the last handful of minutes of this presentation. Let's talk about strategy, ways forward, ways to put some of these learnings to action. And there's really two main options here. The first option, and the one that I typically recommend, is creating content. And so actually making a TikTok account for your brand or business, generating content that will be your sales funnel. The second option is going to be running ads. And this is the same way it might work across Instagram or Facebook or other social medias. It's to create ads, run those ads, and try to encourage people to purchase your product that way. So let's talk a little bit about the path of creating content, which is typically the route that I recommend. And the reason for this, and we'll touch on this in the ad creation, is TikTok ads are created in a TikTok style. And we'll show you the different types of ads that are available. But whenever you create an ad on TikTok, it is basically a TikTok video. And so you can imagine if you're creating an ad that is successful, you would also be able to create content that is successful. And so in order to have successful ads, you have to be able to create successful content. So generally, through the TikTok community, I've seen most businesses prefer to create an account and create content instead of going the ad route, but you definitely can go that route. Okay, so step one is laying your ground rules for your content creation and strategy. So answering some of the key questions like what are your goals and how you will measure them? What is the theme? What are the types of content you will post? How often will you post? Are you going to prioritize TikTok or Instagram or other social medias? How will you distribute? So lots of these questions. And one thing I'll note is we'll have a shareable presentation for this after this. So we'll be able to send that out. So all of these guidelines, all the links are going to be included. So don't feel like, I probably should have said this at the beginning. Don't feel like you have to write everything down here. We'll have a shareable version. So the second thing is choosing your KPIs. And so, it's going to be kind of two main groups of KPIs here. One is going to be the content KPIs. These are the KPIs given by TikTok that indicates how successful your videos are. And so these are going to be things like your follows, your views, the watch time, likes, comments, shares. And TikTok within the app and online has a great tool for tracking and managing those KPIs that are indicating how successful your content is. And then you're going to want to have your, business KPIs or that back end or the sales funnel KPIs. And so, myself, I don't really sell a product, but, my overall media is my product. So people coming to my websites is kind of my business KPIs. So I can see on the amount of people that are clicking the link in my bio, the time people are spending on my website page, if they're going to watch a podcast or a YouTube video. But for this could be time on page, conversion rates, purchases, downloads. These are just the analytics I pulled off of Squarespace. That would be, the business side of the funnel or where people are going to go and buy your product or service. So the next step is going to be picking your tools. And I'm just going to give a quick overview of this because there's tons of tools out there to choose from, and it can be overwhelming. But there's going to be tools that help you manage your social media. So Buffer, Trello or Hootsuite is a great set of tools. Some are free, some are premium. It kind of will depend on the size of your team, whether you want multiple people to be able to manage it, what type of capabilities you want to be able to do yourself. These are a list that I would just recommend checking out and researching and finding the one that's the best fit for your current situation. There's also tools that will help you create. So within TikTok itself, you can create videos right within the app today, but there's also some mobile apps that can help you edit TikTok videos. So I personally use one called InShot, and it's really just a mobile video editor that has a few more tools than TikTok. Lots of people also use one called ViaMaker as well. And then there's an app called Trend Talk, which helps you keep on top of trending analytics. So if there's hashtags, if there's music, if there's videos or trends that are becoming popular, Trend Talk kind of helps you stay on top of those. And then there's the other category of tools, which are services you can collaborate through. So there's a service called Collabster. and there's Fiverr, which most people have heard about. But these are services where you can go to influencers and have people help you create content or work with influencers. So I'm on Collabster, but you can find people there and on Fiverr as well. Okay, the next step is to train or hire employees, or if you want to, you can do all of this yourself. But one thing I'll call out is that brand consistency is key, and having, someone being the face of your brand is also something that's huge. So we all recognize Flo from Progressive. She's the face of that company. Having someone, a person who's kind of the face of your own brand is something that will help people really, cue or trigger that this is your brand and company really quickly. So Planet Money does this well. They have someone who kind of represents their brand.
The girls do pretty well. Like if you average it out, like overall, like index funds, buying one of those is like buying a little tiny chunk of all the stocks in the market. Oh, like putting a bunch of different eggs in a bunch of different baskets.
Okay, so that is an example of the person from Planet Money who is kind of the face, the brand to them. But as far as training and hiring employees concerned, there is time spent. And if you're wanting to really devote some good time into creating a TikTok presence, expect there to be around 10 hours of work per week. And the person who is running this should be expected to work a little bit outside of working hours. So most popular times for people in the US is between 4 and 9 p.m. So the person who's operating or managing your TikTok account should be responsible for creating content, for replying to comments, to watching TikToks and making sure they're staying on top of trends and things like that. And always I recommend, using incentives to help people, incentivize TikTok growth. And so maybe trying out TikTok managers for 1 to 3 months. If they're able to grow your presence, keeping them on or incentivizing with bonus pay for that growth is a great way to motivate, social media managers. All right, so we talked about identifying and collaborating with influencers. Collabster and Fiverr will help you do this. It's really important to find people that are in your target niche. So, I'm a dog trainer. Any business or company involved with dog products, I'd be a good person for that. But if you're trying to sell financial services, I might not be the best person to do that. So find the person or influencer who's already in your niche, reach out to them, work with them, have them do what they do, give them creative flexibility because they'll know how to reach their own audience. But also use hashtags across collaborations. It can be a great way to link all of your presentations or collaborations together and make sure you have a clear set of expectations for these. Also, create a content calendar. And this is, going to look different across every brand and business, but determine your cadence. So between 3 and 6 posts per week is typically recommended. But always be sure to, make sure it's quality over quantity. It's better to post 3 high quality videos than 6 mediocre videos in a week. And on that month or that content calendar, make sure you have weekly, monthly, quarterly calendars. That includes content ideas, days you might post, special events, perhaps promotions, collaborations, and things like that. And once again, always be sure to track successful content. If you track your content, that's going to give you an idea of what you can repeat and what you should be doing. All right, so here's just a few content guidelines. I'm not going to go over all these because we really touched on a lot of them, but this will be helpful in the presentation we'll send out as you're creating content. So quality over quantity, tell a story, be authentic, don't use your logos, be raw, reply to your comments, have a spokesperson, create a hashtag, be consistent, utilize trends, to name a few. There also in this presentation will be a list of content ideas. This will be a great resource for you as you're starting out, trends that are going to, or video ideas that can help you get off the ground running and just some creative inspiration. So, a workplace tour, pets and work as views, a fun story of your business or a client journey, the story of how you named your business, or how is your product made, things like that. So quickly, we'll talk about types of ads. I know we're running up on time here, but we're almost over. So there are a few different ads types. So one is called a brand takeover. And that is as you open up TikTok, The brand takeover is an ad that takes over the screen for a few seconds. I'll show you that. All right, so that's an example of you open up the app, the brand takeover ad comes up. Before users are able to watch the videos, they're seeing your ad. That's the most expensive ad, but you can tell it is a video style that is in the TikTok video. The second type of ad is called a native ad, and that's as you're swiping through or users are swiping through TikTok. The native ad is the type of ad that just shows up as a video. And so very small example there. That's a native ad. It is also into TikTok style. So that's why I say it's really important to be able to create content first, because if you're using brand takeover or native ads, it will be in that TikTok video style. So you'll have to utilize that. There's also hashtag challenges where you can sponsor a hashtag and try to get people to create content using that hashtag. And then branded lenses where you make a filter or something that users can use to create content using your, using your lens. So the outline of the strategy is really similar to that of creating content. It just replaces a few things with, determine the budget you want to spend on collaborations or creating these ads, identifying influencers you can collaborate with, creating the ads and tracking the KPIs, but it's a relatively similar structure to how you want to approach that. But we're kind of up on time, but let me just do a quick recap of everything. And, if there's questions at the end, I'll be happy to answer those. But, just to recap, social media can be a huge funnel for your brand and generate lots of eyeballs and potentially lots of sales. It's perfect for driving authentic engagement, building trust, collaborating, and, building relationships with your users and everyday people. It can work whether you're a local business, international product, or service. But you have to make sure that when making content, be sure to keep it authentic, light, and engaging. And don't be afraid to collaborate with people who are already running TikTok accounts. Don't be afraid to run ads that help you drive sales. This is just a list of brands that are going to be linked here that you can help study from. So as you go out and are thinking about creating a strategy yourself, feel free to check out these handful of brands who all will have an example of how you can run a different type of both business or informative account. But that's really going to be it, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, listening to this webinar. I hope that it was valuable and informative and that you've learned a lot. Once again, my name is Ryan Brooks, and I appreciate everyone for taking their time. You can reach out to me via email, check out the website, check out TikTok, but I'll always be available to answer questions. So don't hesitate to reach out. But thank you, everybody, for taking the time. And open it up to questions, or if Caleb, you want to add anything, thank you for hosting this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, first of all, for being so willing to do this. If you're okay with it, I'll copy you in the email I sent to everybody out with that, so that if they want to reach out to you, it'll be easier. Your email will be right there in the email they receive, along with these slides and a link to the video. Also want to thank everybody for joining us. Appreciate you for participating, tuning in. Look forward to seeing y'all at future Startup Junkie events.
Thank
All right,
you,
and
Caleb.
with that, we'll wrap it up. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ryan. Everybody have a great day.
Yeah. See everyone. Thanks for listening. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.